Well, good morning, kids, and welcome to another episode of Virtual Sunday School. I hope everyone is doing good and you're excited for this week's lesson because it's a really good one. So, I want to ask you guys, do you remember who we've been learning about this week? It's a very important character and so many things happened to him. Do you remember what his name is? It was Daniel, that's right. So Daniel, we learned about being taken from his home and we learned about his friends last week, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? And what happened to them? They were thrown into a fire because they disobeyed the king. What was the king's name? King Nebuchadnezzar, that's right. And so what happened when they were put in the fire? King Nebuchadnezzar thought they were going to burn up, but did that happen? No, they were kept safe, right? And the fourth angel, godlike person appeared, and they were not even scratched or burned. Not one of their hairs came out of their head or was burned because God kept them safe, right? So today's story is kind of like that because as Daniel grew up, remember how he was taken from his home and he was sent to Babylon? So much time had passed and Daniel was a little bit older and there was a new king in town. Do you know what his name was? This new king's name was not King Nebuchadnezzar, it was King Darius. Can you guys say King Darius? Very good. So King Darius was actually kind of a nicer king. He liked Daniel, unlike King Nebuchadnezzar. This king was actually really good friends with Daniel, and he made him a very important person in Babylon. So what that means is, next to King Darius, he was like the most important person in Babylon. Daniel was like right under King Darius, so he was a pretty important person, right? So something happened when Daniel became in charge of a lot of things and he became a very important person. There were a lot of people who didn't really like Daniel, and they were what we call jealous. That means they were wanting Daniel's position and they wanted to be as important as Daniel, but they couldn't. Only one person could be as important as Daniel. So you can see King Darius was here. And these three men were scheming against Daniel. And they tried to trick him into getting in really big trouble. So they came up to King Darius and they said, "Hey, King Darius, we have an idea. How about for 30 days you make a special law that says no one can pray to any other god except you. Everyone in Babylon can only pray to you." Okay, that sounds pretty good, I'm sure, to King Darius, but he had no idea that Daniel, as you know, was very faithful to God. So Daniel would always pray. Actually, he would pray 3 times a day. Wow, he loved God so much. He wanted to talk to God all the time. And so that's what Daniel did. He was always talking to God and praying 3 times a day. So let me ask you something. Based on all of the stories we learned about Daniel before and his friends, do you think that because there was a new law that said you couldn't pray to anybody else except King Darius, do you think Daniel listened to that law? Probably not, right? He was still faithful to God, which is why God loved him so much and really cared about Daniel and made sure that he was safe from this law. Because you know what the punishment was? If you were caught praying to somebody besides King Darius, do you know what would happen? You would get thrown in a lion's den. What? What's a lion's den? We've never even heard of that before. So can you guys raise your hand if maybe you went to the zoo before, or maybe you went to like Animal Kingdom, or you went somewhere where you saw lions? What do lions look like? They're very scary. And what kind of noise does a lion make? Roar! So scary. And you know, lions are not a very friendly animal. They're not like monkeys that come and play with you and maybe pull on your hair or something. No, lions are so big and scary. When they see you, you kind of get afraid of them because they might eat you or they might hurt you because lions like to eat other animals. So they think you're an animal, they want to eat you. So they get really scary. So these three men that were trying to get Daniel in trouble for praying, they knew if they put Daniel in a lion's den, he wasn't gonna make it. And you know what that means? They get rid of Daniel and maybe they can be the next important person in Babylon. So guess what happened? The men reported this incident to King Darius. Remember? He said to Daniel, Daniel, I signed this law and I made this law for 30 days that if you pray to anyone else but me, that you're going to get thrown in the lion's den. Oh, King Darius was so sad and he was so worried. He said, Daniel, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. It sounds like these men were trying to get you in trouble and I didn't know that you were praying so many times a day. I know you're a good man, Daniel, and I know you're going to pray to your God no matter what. You're not going to listen to any rule or law that says you can't pray to God. So guess what King Darius did? He had to do what the law said, otherwise he's not going to be obeying the law, and that's going to look really bad on him. So King Darius said, Daniel, to his friend, he said, Daniel, I'm so sorry, but we have to put you in the lion's den. That means, have you ever seen like a big ditch or a pit or something really deep where you can't get out of it? They're going to throw Daniel in there with the lions so they can eat him alive. Oh no. Do you think King Darius wanted that to happen to his friend? Probably not. He liked Daniel, remember? So he was so sad. He had to throw Daniel inside. He didn't sleep the next day. The whole night King Darius was awake. He was pacing his room. He said, oh no, my friend Daniel, he's not going to be alive in the morning when we go check on him. He couldn't even sleep. And guess what happened? King Darius woke up really early in the morning because he wanted to check on his friend Daniel to make sure maybe the lions didn't eat him. We don't know. We have to go check on Daniel. So he woke up, ran over to the lion's den outside, and guess what he found? Can you guys guess? Do you think God protected Daniel? He sure did. Look at all the big scary lions. When Daniel was thrown down in the lion's den, the Bible tells us that the lions didn't even make a peep. They didn't roar. They didn't even touch Daniel. They just came close to him. But look, they look like they were friends. Can you ever imagine a lion doing that? Now, if you guys go to the zoo or you go to Animal Kingdom, don't go near a lion like that, because these were animals that were protected because God shut the mouth of the lion. So God protected Daniel, and he made sure the lions did not eat Daniel, because you know why? Daniel was obedient to God. He prayed only to God no matter what the law said. And that's a very important lesson I want you guys to learn, okay? Just like we heard about some really scary things that could happen, like being thrown in a fiery furnace or a lion's den. But that didn't matter to Daniel and his friends. We learned that God protected them because they were obedient and they loved God. So I really want you guys to remember that, especially if you're faced with a difficult situation, maybe something scary is happening to you, or somebody, one of your friends tells you to do something that God doesn't like. Remember what Daniel did. Daniel did the right thing, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did the right thing and they obeyed God. And guess what happened? God protected them. Okay, so I want you guys to remember that. I look forward to your videos. I hope everybody sends in their video, and I really love seeing you guys every week saying your memory verse. So keep it up, okay? So your Titi loves you guys, and I'm praying for you. And take care. Have a safe week.